jurisprudence, how would I relate who I am as a Christian? Because I have many faces. I'm not merely a Christian. I have my other facets and personalities and persons. So the issue is Christianity vis-a-vis what I do. One, I have come to the judiciary. I am an employee of the jails.
I'm glad you are a Christian. You're in good company. I am a Christian. I like to think I'm a fairly good Roman Catholic. But one does not have to be a Christian to do theology. One doesn't have to be. One doesn't have to be a Christian to do a diploma in theology.
Yes.
And so the question is, having done that diploma in theology, how has it prepared you for the work you do? And do you mix theology, religion, morality, and the law?
One, as an officer, like I was saying, I am an employee of the judiciary. Who I am as a Christian is separated from this. Agreed? The School of Law code, the Realist School of Law, says that, states that, opines that a judicial officer would largely, what you see in a judicial officer, or the product of a judicial officer, is who he is in terms of personality, in terms of ideology, in terms of thinking. Good enough. That is a legal theory, and we leave it at that. What do we deal with here on a daily basis? You remember my personality, myself, and my Christianity serve me as such. It's a spectrum of my life which is complete and whole. But I must be able to relate this very, very carefully and cautiously with what I do in other spheres of my life, such that when I come to a place like this one where I have to make a decision, it can guide me, no doubt, because even if you are not a Christian, there is some element of religion in everybody, including African traditional religion, which I suspect is almost dead now with 130, 140 years of colonialism and post-colonialism. Africa's culture and religions are almost dying. So we are saying that we must be able to separate and draw a distinction between the diploma in theology and your religious faith and what you do. You can relate it to some extent, but to the extent that is palatable and acceptable, not anything beyond that. We were not called upon to come to the judiciary to preach, whatsoever not. We were called upon to the judiciary to come and do that which we are assigned, and do it in decency.
Thank you. If you find a lacuna in law, what would my Lord do?
One, before you make a decision and it is broadcasted, there is the issue of a consultation. You discuss to identify whether indeed what you are seeing is the reality. When you find a lacuna and it is established that it is one,
and you are in the middle of a hearing, my Lord, and you must make a decision in that matter, and my Lord encounters what appears to be a lacuna in the law, what would my Lord do?
You address that.
By what
At
means?
the hearing, if you can, you point it out to the other participants, the litigants, and you look for a middle ground. When you sit down to do your write-up, the ruling or judgment, you would have to point that out. Like I said earlier, this would require consultation amongst your colleagues, so that at the end of the day, you do not, address yourself. You do not clear the lacuna. You do not create your own law and apply it. No. You just note that in the process of hearing etc., I found out that there is this gap, and you could even point it out to Parliament. As a stakeholder, I would point it out to Parliament and say, this is what I observe. But when you are very, very clear that what you are doing makes sense, when you've consulted adequately throughout your colleagues and agreed that it is an issue which requires address at any other forum. Yes.
I want us to get to the Supreme Court, but before we get there, let me just read you this quote from Dawkins, and he says, there can be no gap in the law. The law is more than rules. It is also about non-rule standards, so that my Lord could reflect on that later. But let's get to my Lord's role as the President of the Supreme Court. My Lord arrives in May and finds 5 of us there already, and my Lord comes with one other judge. My Lord has primarily sat as a single judge, primarily. But when my Lord arrives, finds that this court of necessity sees as a multiple judge court. The bench must have at least a minimum of 5. Okay?
Yes.
Is that an easy thing to do? Is sitting in 5 easy?
It is not.
Why is it not
particularly
easy?
for the likes of us who have not even had an occasion to sit as 2 or 3. But the argument is countered by the fact that from day one, 16th of October 1980, when we entered the law school up here, we've had interactions with this kind of situations. We've learned, we know. The only thing is that the only difference is that we've not encountered that. 2, we are equal to the task. We can learn. By the time we leave that evening, I'll pick from yourself, the Deputy Chief Justice, or even before we have a session in court, so that we are able to get educated, we are able to get the exposure, we are able to get to know.
That's fine, my Lord. The question is, because I think this is important, let's just spend another 2 minutes on it.
Please.
Is it easy to sit in a multi-judge bench?
It will not be at any one time because of the issue of diversity. The issue of, like you are asking about, your tentacles insofar as religion is concerned, your ideology, your legal philosophy, etc. That diversity is supposed to be an asset, but can also be a liability, in the sense that...
in fact, stop there. I'm glad you said an asset, because I want us to discuss that other side. Is it not a good thing to sit in a multi-judge bench, because then your idea is strengthened by the weaknesses or strengths of each of your partners on the bench?
It is good. And particularly,
so it's both good and bad?
I am not going to say it is bad. It has all pluses. The only difference and being a liability would come when these people, are not able to agree, and that is allowed. When this disagreement becomes like a part of the problem, and when this disagreement becomes a liability now, or becomes a fetter to the progress of decision-making in that court, at all times, this would be an asset, it would be good, there is diversity, there is an exchange of minds, there is, you are able to, interrogate issues and share in a good collegiality. But if this is not the case, if this becomes a problem, if there's no collegiality, if there's no maturity, if there's no tolerance, it becomes a problem. and we can have stalemates, and that would be extremely dangerous. That is not what Kenya has set us here for.
Yeah, but my lord, it's you who has set yourself up to become Chief Justice. And so you would be telling this commission that even though it is your first time you're going to do this, this is what has prepared you for it, and this is the arsenal. You have to get the 6 of us to work with my lord, the CJ.
Decision making is personal, but we have not even reached there. Day one, we have a matter. When I am new, I will not get to that matter before we have a meeting as the College of Judges in the Supreme Court, so that I am able to learn and know how these things, even the feel itself, that these are the 7 judges of the Court of Appeal, of the Supreme Court. We are sitting together, we are sharing, they are teaching me from the onset so that I become a part and parcel of their team. I would nurture that from the onset so that we don't have any sitting before that is done. And thereafter, we would sit. I would be able to appreciate the issues. I'll be able to relate even more. And in less than no time, in a month, 2 or 3, at most 4, we would be partners in progress, equals in the game.
All right. My final question, my lord.
Please do, and thank you.
What is your most favorite judgment from the Supreme Court, and why is it your most favorite? And I wish you very well, my lord.
I have had occasion to look at the digest which you issued some 2-3 years ago, and I looked at those judgments. The other day when I was preparing for this interview, I came across the Muruatetu judgment. Even without looking at all the other matters on elections and references and everything else, let me come to Muruatetu. Muruatetu is a good judgment in the sense that it has brought us to, in tandem with the current constitutional requirements globally. Murder, death sentence, etc., etc. You talked about religion. I mean, at what time should anybody lose their lives? We are saying that we are on a platform of human rights. We are also agreed as judges and judicial officers. The profession is agreed that more often than not we are making mistakes. So when we do 10 murder cases and hang them, maybe 4 of them could be innocent. Circumstantial things just filed them there, etc., etc. So for a long time, the death sentence has not been acceptable. The death sentence has been overtaken by events in other jurisdictions. So when the Supreme Court came up with a decision that that must be done away in this with in this country, I would say that was a ground breaking.
Thank you. So my lord likes Muruatetu because the Supreme Court outlawed the death sentence.
Yes, Muruatetu has its
own. Thank you very much, my lord.
Thank you, my lord.
Thank you,
and I'm so glad that we had that occasion to tete-a-tete over one or two small things.
Brother. Thank you, my brother.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Honor. I will now request Judge Wasame to continue, and the commissioners will restrict ourselves to about 30 minutes or less. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'll be brief because my predecessor has almost asked almost all my questions. Judge, I will ask you 4 issues.
Please do, and thank you so much.
Yes, and 2 of them, you are the one who raised them, about the backlog and how you will resolve it. Now that you are applying to become the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, you must be the leader. And there must be evidence in terms of your productivity that you have been a leader in that area. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I have a report from the performance and productivity of the Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Njagi Marete for the period between 2016 to 2021.
We appreciate.
Yes. During that period, my Lord, it says that you handled 3,436 matters. Out of those matters you have handled, you have delivered 73 rulings. Those rulings did not also resolve the cases or close the cases.
Yes.
Again, you delivered 271 judgments. Is that a reflection of Chief Justice Marete?
No, it would be dastardly to have a Chief Justice of that caliber. But I'll go back and answer your question in this manner. In 2018, I was transferred from Kericho. And the ground of my transfer, although it is not stated, was that I had cleared everything that was supposed to clear about the Kericho station. Kericho had a balance of 50 or less files. Eldoret had 800 files. So I made a departure from Kericho to Eldoret and left it judgeless because it would not have been logical to put a judge there. I have my issues on this kind of report. 271 judges in 3 years. I doubt its accuracy because on average, Judge Marete at Kericho he was the sole judge in the station. And on average, Judge Marete would do about 20 judgments. So how would the 20, which is 240 judgments and rulings, on the lower side, how would 20 times 24 times 3 amount to 271 and 73? This is 300 or 350. I doubt that accuracy, unless there are issues of not transmitting good returns. I'll clearly say with no doubt that is not an accurate report of my performance.
Okay.
And if I do, I would apologize and leave office.
Okay. So if we ask you, for example, to avail your statistics for the period between 2016 to 2021, which is not a reflection of what is before us today, you will be able to do that.
I'll do that with lots of ease. I'll get my dear at Kericho and it will be availed.
Okay. The second issue, my Lord, is an issue which you raised yourself about, you said you are a person living with a disability.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
It is correct. I am a person living with disability.
Okay. And before you are granted the certificate by the National Council for Persons with a Disability,
yes,
you must have been assessed.
I was assessed.
And
I've even been assessed just the other day in a renewal.
And that your request was approved from the minister downwards.
Yes.
And in your application, you indicated the nature of the disability which you are suffering from.
Yes.
Were you given a card?
I have a card.
You have a card?
It is here.
You have it there?
Yes.
I don't know, the card in your file reads, I don't know whether it is true, my Lord, and I apologize if it's not the correct card.
Yes.
It says name D.K. Njagi Marete. It indicates your registration number, and then it indicates the nature of disability, visual, mental. Is that a reflection of you?
I have a visual disability,
Yes.
which has been with me for a long
No,
time.
I'm asking the second part, my lord.
No, that I have no mental issues. This was an error. I was warned about it by a colleague who is also, a person living with disability. I have never had time to have it addressed.
And this card was given to you, my lord, in 2015.
It was issued to me in 2015.
Yes.
I didn't realize that it was an error. I am diabetic.
No, I am not asking about that, my lord. When did you realize that there was a problem in your card, that there was the issue of mental?
I saw it from day one when the card was issued down there.
Yes.
I didn't think it was an issue because when I went to do my application to the director, persons with disability, I cited two issues. One, I have a visual issue. Two, I am diabetic. And occasionally I get affected by what we call low sugar issues, hypoglycemia. So when they looked at it, they dismissed the second issue as a case of disability. And that is where this error came in. From my record, which was in that original application, the issue of hypoglycemia, diabetic versus, oblique hypoglycemia, was taken or was translated to be mental disability, which will never be the case.
Okay, difficult question. I'm not a doctor. Again, my lord, since you joined the judiciary, you have also been having some personal issues with the registrar, with JSC, about your driver.
Yes.
And I have seen a letter from the principal judge of your court saying that the Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Marete has been having problems with the drivers since 2014. The last one walked away this week. What is the problem with the drivers?
When we came into the judiciary in 2012, I opted to use drivers who were civilian, not police. There is a Mr. Mwangi whom I had employed myself, and I requested that he be employed by the judiciary so that he serves me in the absence of a police driver. I am not able to deal with the police drivers in the sense that